Tampa, and
I
here we are.
see. Okay. Now, you met your wife and she was living in New York.
Correct. Yeah. So she's from Tampa and was in grad school when we met.
Okay. So you stayed for 4 years in Amex, and then where'd you go?
So I came to Tampa. So I did not have a role. Just knew that we wanted to be here, and came here and started getting involved with the business community, going to events, trying to network, to find my
Find
next
your
opportunity.
niche.
That's right. And one of the chance meetings that I had was at, oddly enough, the Tampa Bay Chamber, which was then the Greater Tampa Chamber of Commerce, and had really hit it off with a few of the folks there. The company I went to work for next was called Gas South. It's an energy provider based out of Atlanta, Georgia, that wanted to expand into Florida.
I see.
And so they needed to hire somebody to run that Florida division. And yeah, didn't have any office space, and they did their interviews at the Tampa Chamber of Commerce. Again, this small world of relationships and making good impressions, and understanding the intersection of politics and business is kind of where I've always been, and it paid off for that role as well.
So how long did you stay doing that?
So I was there for 5.5 years, going from zero customers, $0 to thousands of government, business, nonprofit customers, and over $20 million in revenue in that time period. So really, really happy with the work we were able to do.
So
in that
you
short
were a
time.
salesperson, actually.
Correct. In sales, and then ultimately ended up running the business unit.
So exactly what were you selling?
So we were selling natural gas to major corporations. Anyone that makes something and has to manufacture usually needs gas to do that. So our customers ranged from folks like MacDill Air Force Base to hospitals, Hillsborough County, and a few others. And so really, my job was to basically help people reduce their energy expenses, to do it in a smart way so that they can ultimately, build their business stronger and hire more people and be more successful in terms of running their business.
What an interesting background you have. Then you left there, and I suppose you landed at the chamber.
That's right. So I had, as you know, had been a candidate for city council and really wanted to get back into that space.
Back up.
Okay.
You ran for Tampa City Council. I remember that.
I did. I ran for a citywide seat. That was my first time being a candidate. Of course, I had volunteered for campaigns. I had supported good folks as they ran, but really got the itch to do a little bit more. I was on a lot of boards and wanted to expand that service, and ran in 2019, this past cycle. Did pretty well in a citywide race, and made some really strong relationships. And I think the message that I would tell you is that when you pick the right thing for you, right? Never mind what other people want you to do. Pick the right thing for you. And for me at the time, it was I need to be home every night to see my kids, because I have 3 kids.
Oh,
under
you have
5.
kids?
Yeah, I have 3 kids under 5. And it was important to me to serve, but also be at home, and so that was a good opportunity for me to do that.
Okay. As opposed to a state house seat.
That's correct. That's correct. And unfortunately, of course, we were unsuccessful. But when you lose, and you lose gracefully, you kind of can't really lose in the long term. And so,
And what an life-changing experience running for office is, I can tell you that.
it is. It's humbling. I think when you lose, though, and you know this, you either see folks run away because their feelings were hurt, or you see people get the message that, perhaps I wasn't the right candidate for that seat at that time. So what can I do to continue to serve? And I
Yes.
looked for every opportunity to continue to do that, which ultimately ended up with me coming to the chamber to run advocacy and government affairs.
Now, is that a position they made just for you, or was that there before?
It was there before. It's a role that the chamber has leaned into as of late, where that that position is pretty key. And so it is the driver of the legislative priorities for the business community in Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough County. So really involved.
Oh, you have all three counties that you're working with.
That's right. So it's a big scope. And I'll tell you, my hesitancy was to join something that may be slightly different than my scope and my passion. And what I found out was the exact opposite, is that the business community sees a responsibility to get involved in things in the community, including workforce housing, attainable housing, military and defense community support, business and economic development, diversity, equity, and inclusion, transportation initiatives. And those are all the things that I get a chance to work on at the local, state, and federal level.
I'm so happy to hear that businesses have a stake in workforce housing, because as you know, affordable housing and workforce housing are huge issues in our city.
That's exactly right. So,
I should say nationwide, but
listen, it's fantastic to be in an area that is growing as fast as Hillsborough County and as fast as Tampa is, but there is something that comes along with that, which is a constraint on the inventory of housing. And so given the mix of industries that we have in Tampa and in Hillsborough County, you need housing for employees to be close to their place of employment.
absolutely.
It's vital. And so we spend a lot of time advocating for creative ways to accomplish that, including supporting the city and the county's, land trust and other innovative initiatives, including incentives to developers that create attainable housing for folks.
And I have heard of people, well, I should say businesses, who've looked at Hillsborough County and said, nope, we're going over to Pasco because the people can afford to live there. And they cannot afford to live in Hillsborough County.
And we don't want that, right?
We don't
want
that.
to lose. We don't want to lose that kind of opportunity. And so, it varies by industry. One of the other big initiatives we're working on, Angela, is the ferry project that, of course, connects downtown Tampa to downtown St. Pete. But in that is also a connection point from South Hillsborough County
Yes.
to MacDill.
Are we talking Riverview?
Correct.
Okay.
So on land that was given to the county by Mosaic, off of Big Bend, is the launch place where a terminal will be that will accommodate a tremendous number of servicemen and women and contractors who live in the Riverview, Brandon area.
Now, how many people can fit on the ferry?
So the ferries that they're looking at 4 vessels. Each can accommodate just about 150 passengers, and so you would have them going back and forth during peak periods of the day. There's also a park and ride lot that can accommodate 1,200 cars. So imagine 1,200 cars potentially coming off of these major corridors and using the waterways to get to and from work.
Well, we got a lot of things to talk about. We're up against our first break already. That wasn't too painful, was it?
Not for you. I hate talking about myself, but listen, I know it.
You did an awesome job. And we'll be back with Mr. Nicholas Glover of the Tampa Bay Chamber.
So believe me, find it down 813-248-63. Everything gon' be okay, call Ricky, he coming. He take the kids, state of Florida, grab him in the sundown. 184-361 Rick. Guys 184-367-425. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, plus your boy stay by. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 184-361 Rick. Call Ricky, ask Ricky. Medical referral service. Doctors and lawyers are network are trained in handling viral injury. We need the best medical treatment and recovery. Now 1-844-361 Rick. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky.
You see, you're not nodding your head and tapping your feet. In Touch Radio will be right back.
Y'all be playing some of the best music I ever heard.
With more of your OMG jams, we're In Touch Radio. Excuse me, but does this station keep you in touch? How do you like the music? Do they play your favorite songs? And in just 2 words, how do you like the station? There you have it, folks. The moral of the story is, our listeners like us, in touching you 24/7 on the World Wide Web. We're In Touch Radio.
Hi, this is Angela Birdsong with Tampa Bay Politics. And not only can you catch us on InTouchNews.com every Wednesday at 11 a.m., we now have a website at TampaBayPoliticsPodcast.com. We are on Apple, Google, Spotify, and Stitcher, which you can log in at any time and listen to Tampa Bay Politics. I hope you share this show with folks, because there's going to be a lot of information about starting a business, and you are to be a part of the Tampa Chamber of Commerce, because there's a lot of things going on down there, and black people need to be involved in that. We all need to be involved in that. All right, let's talk about what's going on where you work.
Absolutely. So I'll tell you right now, obviously we've got committee weeks going on in the legislature, and we're about to start this 2022 session, and we are gearing up for that. We spent the better part of, 3 months coming up with our legislative agenda across those areas that I talked about: healthcare, business and economic development, transportation, military and defense, workforce development, and housing. And so we are tracking a number of bills that are being pre-filed, as well as some that we're learning about with our one-on-ones with elected officials that will be a really big part of this session, and making sure that Tampa Bay gets its fair share.
Okay, so let's back that up, because people are working and they're busy and they don't actually understand what's going on in Tallahassee and how it works. So first of all, we have a Senate up there, and we also have a House of Representatives.
That's right.
Now, they are in session, and when does the session start?
It starts in January this year. It alternates each year.
Okay, so it lasts for how long?
60 days.
60 days.
Which is uncommon for a state that's as large as Florida, third largest state in the country by population, to have a part-time legislature that only meets for 60 days is a whole lot of work to get done in a very short amount of time.
Now, that's a very interesting comment you just made. Our legislators are considered part-timers.
They are considered part-time.
And they only make about $30,000, right? Something in that vicinity. They're not making 6 figures or anything like that.
Angela, are you pocket watching?
What does that mean? Oh, but of course there are public service.
That's right.
It's all about public service.
That's right. But it is considered part-time.
Okay.
Unlike other states where they are at a more full-time rate and are expected to not have another role anywhere else. But this is part-time, and which is particularly difficult if you are not located in the capital. That means you have to travel, leave your family, leave your work commitments to serve, and we
stay in a hotel for 60 days, or at least during the week.
And we appreciate our delegation for doing that.
Yeah, because we're not that close to Tallahassee, and a lot of people drive it. So I'm just praying for them on the roads. So your agenda is to make sure that the things you think are important for Tampa Bay are brought to their attention.
That's right. I want to place the emphasis on not me, you, but you being the chamber members. So what we do is we spend, like I said, about 3 or 4 months crafting what our legislative agenda looks like. Anybody that's a chamber member can come to these meetings, talk about the things that are important to them. And so what you get is folks who are big community partners, like a USF, like a Moffitt Cancer Center, like folks who are in our Minority Business Accelerator program, talking to us about the things that should be top of mind for us. And then we rank those. We have a series of conversations with our delegation about the things that are important to us. And I do that personally. That helps me ensure that there aren't any surprises during session, but it also allows our delegation to know the things that are important to this community. And they use us as a sounding board. So oftentimes during session, we will get a kind of snap poll request. Hey, tell us what your members are thinking on this topic. What does the community think about this?
Who asks you that?
Our elected officials, often.
All the elected officials, okay, because you have the pulse of what's going on.
We try to.
You try to.
We try to.
And you got some important members, like you said. I mean, that's just a few people, a few organizations. We got all of downtown represented.
Mm-hmm.
We got all the sports teams represented. So Tampa Bay has got to matter.
That's right. We have to matter, and we have to make sure that legislators just are not hearing from those large ones that you said.
Right.
Of our 1,400 plus members, a significant portion of them are small businesses. And we've also developed a really interesting framework. We've called it our Memorandum of Understanding Network. So there are other chambers across Tampa Bay from all over, Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough. And we kind of advocate for a lot of these same issues together. And so instead of just our one voice, we come prepared with 12 voices, 12 other chambers and business organizations that are all saying the same thing.
I didn't understand that because St. Pete, I think, has like 3,000 members in their chamber. And then you have all the other little chambers. Would you consider CABA a chamber?
I would.
Okay, Carrollwood Area Business Association. So who are some of the other members in there?
Sure. So in that group, you've got the North Tampa Bay Chamber, you've got the Downtown Tampa Partnership, you've got the West Shore Alliance, you've got the LGBT Chamber, you've got the Indo-US Chamber, you've got the Greater Riverview Chamber, the Brandon Chamber, and so you kind of get a really big cross-section of folks that are part of this network.
Wow. Well, I'm glad that the little guy has a voice. All your agenda is on your website, I believe.
That's exactly right. And people can visit that by going to tampabaychamber.com. And then at the very top, you can toggle across, go to initiatives, and then policy. You'll be able to select that and see the key issues that are important to us. And we also have a report card that we're calling Key Votes, which at the end of session, so somewhere around May 10th or so, people can follow how we did legislatively, and you can see the way that our delegation across Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough, how they voted on the issues that were important to us. You can kind of see in black and white whether they supported the things that the chamber supported or not. It's not meant to be a scorecard necessarily.
Sounds like one to me.
It's meant to keep us honest, right? It's meant to keep transparency in the process, and not just to celebrate the wins, but the losses as well. And when things go our way, we say thank you, and when they don't, we remind people about why this was a part of our legislative agenda and why it's important. And we make sure that our members have the contact information for elected officials if they need to follow up or give me any additional feedback.
Letting your voice be heard matters. Now, what would you say are your top 3 legislative agenda items?
Going into this year, I would say housing is always going to be
Number one
on the top, right? So for us in a market like this, it has to be housing. We were prepared to sign on to a push for a constitutional amendment to ensure that the Housing Trust Fund is never swept. And we were prepared to do that in partnership with the Florida Realtors. They backed out of that push, and I think they're doing that because they think they can fix it legislatively. So
I think they're doing it because developers don't want that.
There is some of that, but fear not. We are continuing to push on that issue, and we'll do it legislatively. I think that's got to be number one.
You know what? Let me just tell
Sure.
people that the Sadowski Fund is specifically designed for those funds to go for affordable housing. And I used to be a realtor, and every time there's a real estate transaction in the state of Florida, they use what's called doc stamps. They used to actually be stamps that they put on the deed, but now it's electronic transaction. So every time a property changes hands, some of that doc stamp money goes for affordable housing, but somehow that fund always gets swept for other things.
That's right. That's right. You're exactly right. And we want them to go for what they're intended for. Like I said, we're growing as a region, and we need that support, maybe more than other parts of the state. But that's our job, is to advocate for things that are specific to this market, and we'll continue to do that.
And I believe it's because we have Republicans in charge. And guess what I can say? Because it's my show. Vote blue if you want things like that to change.
I would say, just to preview, what we're also concerned with is making sure that folks who are returning citizens have a fair shake.
I'm so happy to hear that that is one of your agenda items.
It is, at the state and local level.
Thank you.
And so getting folks back into the workforce at a level that is commensurate with where they should be, with their experience level, is really important. Not just taking a role because they are crumbs being thrown to them. We don't believe in that. And so we'll be pushing really hard on that at the state and local level this
And
this year.
there's a Desmond need in people who are returning. Look at that. Look at him.
That's exactly right. MacArthur Award winner.
$625,000.
That's right. That's right. And so the third thing I would point to, and a really big win from last session, was keeping the Medicaid rates for the hospitals where they were. If you all know, first responders, in particular, those nurses and those frontline healthcare workers were hit pretty hard last year by COVID, and the year before that. And the legislature had in the budgeting process plans to reduce those reimbursement rates, which would have had an impact on the bottom line of hospitals, which, of course, this was probably the worst time you could ever do that.
Absolutely.
And we were successful in talking them off the ledge, and they were ultimately fully funded. We want to make sure that continues to happen and they remain whole in the 22 session as well. So those are probably 2 or 3 of our top priorities this year.
Now, do you consider yourself lobbyists or hire lobbyists?
No, we're not. So again, my title is Vice President of Advocacy. I'm kind of the conduit and organizer of the strategy and the process, but we, of course, have a team of contract lobbyists in Tallahassee and who help us do some of those things.
And do you think that you're going to see some movement on affordable housing?
I do, because it's no longer an issue of politics. It's an issue of competitiveness. And once the issue becomes about money and economic development, and there's the threat that a business or an employer may take their business elsewhere where it's more affordable for their employees, then it becomes an attention grabber. And that's the stage that we're in.
Also, transportation. That's another thing employers look at.
You cannot talk about housing without transportation, and thinking about transportation as connecting housing hubs is where we have to be thinking about it.
Wow, there's so much going on at the chamber, and we didn't even get to the Urban League yet. But we're coming back, and we got more time. Thank you, Nicholas Glover, for showing up. Nicholas Glover.
Cancer affects everyone, but minority populations are often hit hardest. Moffitt Cancer Center is working to address the barriers that keep some groups from getting the care they need. African Americans develop cancer at a younger age, have more aggressive cancers, and experience worse outcomes than the general population.
While cancer treatment is evolving with precision medicine, who is being left behind? We know for many decades that some groups experience a greater burden of cancer than others. We can prevent it, we can detect it early. It's very beatable when we find it early. I have worked with cancer patients during their treatment. All cancer patients have courage.
So my treatment was about 18 months. I had 3 cancers and 7 surgeries. But my son told me, like, Mom, you're the strongest person that I know. Moffitt saved my life.
During COVID-19, Moffitt is a safe place for your cancer care. Call now to schedule an appointment.
Catch my show that will be all up in your business. Let's Talk Business with Cheryl J. Couso. Every Wednesday at 12:31 p.m. My business experts provide insight for business entities and entrepreneurs. So join us every Wednesday from 12:31 p.m. to 1:31 p.m. at www.intouchnews.com. Catch my show.
Hey, this is Agent Wright, better known as Mr. Clean. You looking for some great barbecue? Come see them two brothers in the grill, located at 423 Virginia Street, Charleston, West Virginia. We got ribs, chicken, pulled pork, brisket, collard greens, mac and cheese, baby. Come get some and get you a nice, smooth cigar. 304-550-4431. That is 304-550-4431. Come get some, baby. The Rib Man, mama, the Rib Man.
Guess what? We're back. If you are just joining us, we are with Mr. Nicholas Glover. He is the Vice President of Advocacy at the Tampa Chamber of Commerce, but I really should say the Tampa Bay Chamber because you all care about what's going on in Pinellas County. And which one?
And Pasco.
And Pasco, which we're kind of like this tri-county area.
Right.
Now, why do you think somebody should join the Tampa Bay Chamber?
I think the way that businesses are able to ensure prosperity for employees is important. And I think the voice of business owners in the process of dealing with elected officials is a pretty loud voice. And so, if we can use that voice to have a bigger community impact, I think the better. And so any opportunity to support and grow that voice only amplifies the impact of everybody in, Hillsborough County, Pasco, and Pinellas County. And so I would say you would be supporting a number of initiatives and programs, including our women's programming, including our minority empowerment program, and including our Minority Business Accelerator, which is a cohort-based model that allows Black-owned businesses, Hispanic-owned businesses to come in, get some real training from folks who've been doing it, growing their business for many, many years, and then to take that training and then to hire folks in their community and to expand their impact, and that's what we're about.
Now, there's a lady named Avril in charge of that?
Yes, my colleague Avril Stinson. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And now you have to be in business for a while to do that program, right?
I will stay in my lane and talk about policy and politics.
Okay. But I know that's for people who I think have been in business maybe like 2 or 3 years. I heard her talk about it just the other day. Like, have like $500,000 in annual earnings, and then they're going to take you to the next level. That's right. And here's what's important. I'll leave you with this: is in Hillsborough County, there's not a disparity of business ownership. Actually, Black folks own businesses at a really, really high clip. The disparity comes in how much those businesses are contributing back to the economy. So if we know that we have these businesses in the Black community, the best way to ensure that we grow and prosper and our communities look and feel the way that they could and should is to make those businesses as successful as possible. And that's the space that we've chosen to lean into. Okay. Excuse me. So what you're saying is that you need to take that person who's really been working hard and get him to a level where he can really be a real asset to his community. That's right. And so these individuals are very busy, right? They're usually solo practitioners. And so we allow the space and time to network with other business owners, some people who may be in the same industry, who have raised funds from banks, from venture capitalists to scale and grow their businesses. And this process really demystifies that process for business owners. And so it's a great cohort. The current cohort, I think, is now closed, but the application process will be opening up again very soon, probably in the next 4 months or so. And I just encourage anybody who knows a Black-owned business who could benefit from this program, or if you yourself are a business owner, this would be a great opportunity for you. And then just someone who's starting a business, can you help them? Yes. And so we have a lot of partnerships, including with the SBDC, along with USF, University of Tampa, St. Leo University, HCC, and others who all do business certification help for Black-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses that can get you prepared while you're growing. So you get the fundamentals in place, making sure your financials are in order. And I'll tell you, and not to get off topic, but one of the things that we saw during this pandemic
is when people and businesses and business owners in particular were hurting, all these government programs had resources. They had free money, and in a lot of instances they couldn't give it away because a lot of our businesses were not foundationally prepared, meaning that they didn't have the books in order. And these programs and these resources will ensure that that never happens again.
Wonderful, because number one, you had to be connected to a bank. Having a bank relationship or having a CPA relationship really, really made a difference if you were going to get that SBA money.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So you need to have those connections right up front if you're a business owner. I don't know how you can do it unbanked, but or without a relationship to a bank. Now, you have any events coming up that people might want to attend at the chamber?
Oh gosh, we have a lot of events. We do. I feel 200 events a year. It's a lot.
200. That's almost one every other day.
Listen, we just had our Small Business of the Year awards, which is really incredible. It's inspiring.
I'm sorry I wasn't invited. I'll come next year.
Next year. You're invited everywhere I am. You know that,
Thank
right?
you.
And so we do that based on a variety of categories, including startup on up to outstanding community business leader. And that really is a great opportunity to celebrate the accomplishments of folks who are resilient and who continue to grow and to make an impact in the middle of a pandemic. So that was a great one that took place last week. Looking ahead, since we're talking about politics and policy, we have our legislative kickoff coming up in January. And so we'll have all of our elected officials from Pasco, Hillsborough, and Pinellas talking about their priorities, and even more important, they'll hear from us about our priorities. And we encourage everyone to come out to that to make sure that our voices are loud and clear.
Yes, we want people to show up and show out. There's so many African Americans in Hillsborough County, and we just need them to start showing up.
That's right.
Yes.
And part of that is outside in, people knowing what's happening, but there's some responsibility as well on us organizations, right, to make sure that we are getting that message out to the community, and that's why I appreciate the platform, the opportunity to talk about this today.
And so what type of event is this going to be? Is it going to be a dinner? Is it going to be an outdoor event? How does that work?
So the legislative kickoff is kind of a more of a mixing and mingling where you can have one-on-one conversations with elected officials. And what I love about it is it allows everybody to be on the same playing field. You don't have to have written a check to a politician to get their ear. It's about access, and the access right now is letting you know that the event is coming up and giving you the website to register once that opens, and then you just coming. It's that simple, and so that'll take place.
So there's no
January.
Entrance fee?
I think there is a fee for this one. I don't know what that is just yet, but as soon as
But it's going to be minimal, right?
It's minimal, and as soon as we have that date and time, I'll come back and let you know what that is.
Now, you have a big event you have every year called Hobnob, which I have been to. It's a lot of fun.
That's a big one. So that Hobnob's every 2 years, and so it's based on that cycle, and it's coming up in 2022, which is going to be a really important, consequential election cycle.
That is our midterm elections. The governor is up for election. Val Demings is running against a guy named Rubio, and we got county commissioners up for election, city council members. It's going to be a hot election.
It's going to be a big one, and so that one usually has about 1,000 people coming and going over a few hours, and it's an opportunity again to hear from candidates in real time about the things that are important to them. But again, even more important as a former candidate, it doesn't matter what your platform is.
Okay.
It matters what you have heard from the community, right? So it should be a mirroring session, which when a candidate is speaking, they should be talking about all the things that they've heard and are wanting to see done on the campaign trail based on their conversations with the community. And that's an opportunity to hear that in real time.
All right. So if someone wants to join the chamber, how do they even do that?
It's really simple. We've got a variety of levels of membership, ranging from small business owners on up to partner level members. And the best way to do that is to go to the website, tampabaychamber.com. Go to the membership section, and you can see what the options are. We'd love to have you. If you're trying to figure out if there's a fit for you, the answer is there is. But if you would like to reach out to me directly, you can most certainly do that. You can be my personal guest at any number of events just to kind of rent before you buy and to make sure that we plug you into the right place. What I would tell you is you get out of something what you put in. So we've got a variety of committees to join as well. I lead our policy advisory committee, which is open to any chamber member. If you're interested in what's going on in policy land at the local, state, and federal level, that would be a great committee to plug into. What I would really like to say, though, we've got a minority empowerment program for Black-owned businesses and organizations in the community, and there's no cost to join that. There is.
I like the sound of that one.
Yeah, there is a short application process, and I'll tell you, that is made possible by companies that get it. Companies like Amgen, AT&T, and others who have donated funds so that Black-owned businesses can be a part of the chamber at a very high level at no cost to them. All that's required is that you do an application, get approved, and that you join a committee so that we can, help you get plugged in and ultimately help your business grow and be more successful.
Well, I am the Medicare lady. I help people with Medicare, life insurance, annuities, life insurance. Maybe I should join that.
You should join. You'd be perfect.
Okay. Now, I understand this little something you're also involved in called the Urban League. Can you tell people what the Urban League does? A little background on that organization.
Yeah, so the Urban League was started in 1910 as the answer to the backdrop of what was going on in that country, which is that Black folks were being left out of the economic process. And so this is about creating the framework for economic mobility for everyday folks, Black folks like us, is how do we make sure that we are a part of the process and are benefiting. And so, our charge at the Hillsborough County Urban League is to do that here locally. I've been chairman of this affiliate for the past 2 years and really am excited to be in the role. We're focused on many of the same areas that the chamber is focused on, actually. We're focused on housing. We're focused on criminal justice reform. We're focused on preventative health care. We're focused on transportation initiatives and all the things that make for a stronger Black community. And in particular, getting younger people involved in that process and making sure that people understand it's not a spectator sport. It requires every single one of us to be active and to be activated, and we provide the framework for those things to happen.
I see. Now, just going back in a little Tampa history, there was an Urban League here when I came to Tampa in 1990. It met its demise. Mm-hmm. So you have recently come back, right?
That's right. Like I said, it's been about 2 years, and we were very fortunate to get our full affiliate status from the National Urban League about a year ago. And so the National Urban League president, Mark Mayoral, let us know that in a very special Zoom call, which was very exciting.
That's impressive.
It was very exciting, and we've got a great opportunity. I think many of the financial missteps that happened in the past were not malicious.
Okay.
They happened because, the group relied on government money, and when government money dried up, the organization was in a tough spot. So what we've tried to do is not just to bring it back, but to bring it back on stronger footing, which means that we've relied on a mix of corporate funding, which is has been very successful, on individual and family memberships, which we're very proud of the number of folks who've signed up for that, as well as some government funding.
How much does it cost to join the Urban League?
There are various levels. Our young professionals starts at $50, and I think we have individual and family memberships at around the same dollar amount, on up to corporate and chairman level memberships that some of those community partners are involved with, including AT&T and the Vinnick Family Foundation and others who graciously joined us.
Oh, the Vinnicks are involved. Okay. All right. So when we come back, it's going to be our last segment. It's moving right along here. Tampa Bay politics.
Hi, this is Pastor John T. Warner Foundation Fellowship Christian Church. We are super excited. The date has finally arrived. This Sunday at 10 a.m. at the Holiday Inn Express off of Bruce B. Downs for our inaugural worship service. A couple of things you might want to know. That we will adhere to all COVID-19 guidelines and masks are required. But we're super excited that you will be joining us. Tell a friend, bring a friend, but most of all, meet us there at 10 a.m. at the Holiday Inn Express off of Bruce B. Downs for Foundation Fellowship Christian Church inaugural worship service. God bless you and look forward to seeing you there.
When it comes to reality radio, everyone is a star.
Shining star for you to see what your life can truly be.
On your smooth soul and R&B station. On the World Wide Web. In Touch Radio.
Hi, this is Angela Birdsong, and during the week, I'm affectionately known as the Medicare lady. Do not try to navigate Medicare without me. Please call me at 813-476-4837. I also do life insurance, and I will help people who are Medicare Medicaid. Once again, 813-476-4837. 4837. Okay, here we are back again talking with Mr. Nicholas Glover. He is the Vice President of Advocacy at the Tampa Bay Chamber. Hey, you know what? You told me that there's an event coming up, a mayoral debate coming up. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on with that St. Pete mayoral race.
Listen, it's going to be exciting. So it's, of course, down to the final two candidates. You've got current city councilman, you've got a former county commissioner, both vying to be mayor of St. Pete. And so the chamber is going to be hosting, in partnership with WFLA, a mayoral debate taking place at USF St. Pete on Monday. So Monday at 7 o'clock p.m., you'll be able to see that stream live on WFLA's website, on their Facebook page, or the Tampa Bay Chamber's Facebook or website.
Okay, and tell us again your website.
TampaBayChamber.com. And our Facebook, really simple. Just go to Facebook and type in Tampa Bay Chamber. It'll come right up.
Okay. Is that the same with the Urban League? How do you find that?
Correct. Urban League, same thing. Urban League of Hillsborough County. Or our website for the Urban League is ulhc.org.
Now, I do believe we have an African-American mayoral candidate over there in St. Pete. Can you tell us a little bit about him?
We do. So Ken Welch is the former county commissioner I spoke about. Ken, I believe, is from St. Pete, and
yes, he's a native.
Deep family roots, and I think where the chamber ties into this conversation, and you might be asking, why is the Tampa Bay Chamber doing a St. Pete mayoral debate? Well, as I mentioned, we're focused on Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough, but as you know, the lines don't stop just because we're looking at one city versus the other city. We tend to be partners in a lot of things. And so when we're talking about issues on transportation specifically, it's really hard to limit that conversation to just Hillsborough County. You really
I
have to
get
think
it,
about
because
as a region.
people work and live in both places.
That's exactly right. And so the projects we're working on with Pinellas County include, of course, the West Shore Interchange, the Howard Franklin expansion and updates. And so, we're looking for a strong partner on the St. Pete side in the mayor's office. And, either one of these candidates, we want to make sure that we're forming a good relationship with, and so that we can be the best possible partners for all of Tampa Bay.
I will have to say, I think St. Pete is a little bit ahead of us. When it comes to environmental issues. I mean, they're getting, and they're working on very, very hard on affordable housing, small houses. I'm seeing some movement over there.
That's where I think the competition regionally is important, right? So we compete with environmental issues you mentioned. I'm on the advisory board of Florida's Race to Zero, which is a friendly competition between the cities of Tampa and St. Pete and Orlando and other parts of Florida that are racing to get to carbon neutrality. And so, viewing our cities as friendly competitors, I think, is helping us ultimately to get to a better place on housing, on the environment, on transportation, and other issues.
Tell us a little bit about this interchange, what they're doing with 275.
Yeah, so the idea with a lot of these updates is to make it much safer for drivers, but the West Shore Interchange in particular, that will connect Pinellas, of course, to Hillsborough County in a more efficient way, would see the expansion of the Howard Franklin Bridge. It would also allow for easier traffic, less, knock on wood, access to the airport. And then ultimately you would see parts of the Tampa Next project, including the downtown Tampa interchange, focus more on safety, where they would move the exit for 21st Street and 22nd Street more westward, so that you don't have cars, as you know, going across 4 lanes of traffic to exit and enter.
Oh, yes,
and so this would,
to get off at where Ybor City is.
Exactly. So the idea is to reduce traffic fatalities, which, Angela, I know you remember as a candidate. That is an area that's a black eye for Hillsborough County. We're not a safe place to travel on our roadways, and we want to get to a place where that is eradicated on the interstate, and also for pedestrians and bicyclists. That Vision Zero and complete streets is the street surface phase of that safety project that we're supporting.
So you're trying to get more sidewalks.
Absolutely.
So that people can be safer as pedestrians.
That's exactly right. And we view the interconnectedness of neighborhoods and the different cities in a regional way. Again, back to the point about the St. Pete Mayoral's race, it's important to view them as regional projects and not just standalone city or county projects.
And you know what, Senator Rousson, his district actually spans Hillsborough and Pinellas.
That's exactly right. And then you have Representative Rayner's district in the House, House District 70, that spans 4 counties. She's got Pinellas, Manatee, Sarasota, and a sliver of Hillsborough, which is an incredible carve out of a district.
Oh my gosh. Now, Michelle Rayner, I believe, is running for office.
She is. She's running for the seat that is occupied by Charlie Crist, who, of course, is running for governor.
Well, we definitely want to do a shout out to Michelle Rayner. She is an awesome politician. I don't even know where she came from, but she is a lightning bolt.
Listen, she's a dynamo, and we've got, like I said, we've got a really strong delegation. Even the folks who may not be in our specific area, they tend to work well together. I will say this. So there's the national politics and all the mistrust, because folks are crazy on the national level from time to time. We tend to do a better job at the state level, and even though there's a disparity between Democrats and Republicans, you look at the process of crafting a budget that works for folks, and the fact that they're able to, they have the last couple of years gotten pretty close to unanimous consent on those budgets, is, I think, a testament to the differences at the national versus the state level.
Well, I will tell you this. There's some things going on in Tallahassee that I think could change if we got a new governor. I mean, right now we can't get funding for schools. Why is that? Because they want to privatize our schools. We don't want that. I know it's difficult, but I think we just got to try to win back as many seats as we can, Democratic. That's just my personal view. Nick did not say that.
So a lot going on at the state level on the education side. Angela, you mentioned the funding. Another thing that's going to be in view this session is whether or not the Commissioner of Education is appointed by the governor versus is elected.
Really? That's very interesting.
There's a bill that will be filed that is going to be all about making sure that individual is elected versus appointed. The sponsors of that and the co-sponsors feel like it's a role that's too important and too high profile to have appointed. It should be elected by the people, and we'll see how that goes.
Now, are you all getting involved in any bills like SB 90, voter suppression, and now we have the heartbeat bill? I mean, it's getting kind of crazy up there.
So we tend to focus on things that are part of that agenda, and I mentioned those 7 areas, but we are in a place where if something is antithetical to what we're trying to do in this community, we will get involved. And so we had a really good legislative session last year, we only lost one bill, and the bill that we lost was SB 90.
I see.
So we, of course, were very opposed to that. We think it limits people's ability to cast ballots and be represented well. And you can expect us to do things like that from time to time that you may not expect the chamber to get involved with, but we think it creates the wrong ecosystem for Tampa Bay to do something like SB 90.
You know, voter suppression is usually targeted at African American communities, the elderly, and the young. And picking up voter drop boxes, making it harder for you to cast a ballot by mail.
So, what I would tell you is that bill went searching for a problem that we do not have. We, as a chamber, were really involved this past election cycle working with the supervisors of elections in our counties. We had the chance to work with, of course, our own Craig Latimer, who's supervisor of elections in Hillsborough County. But Craig also was the president last year of the state organization of supervisors of election. 67 counties ranging from Republican to Democrat, more Republicans than Democrat. And universally, all those supervisors of election were opposed to SB 90. All of them.
Yes, because it makes their lives more difficult.
Correct. And they know problems before the state level does, and they didn't see any. And so we worked with our local folks in Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough to actually ensure that drop boxes were abundant and that it was easy for people to access them because, one, we are in the middle of a pandemic.
That's right.
So
and we still are.
It's a matter of safety. And so, of course, SB 90 changed a lot of the rules for how you can register folks to vote. And so hopefully our community organizations who are involved in that are up to date on those new changes and can make sure they can educate the public without, finding themselves in any peril.
Well, it's hard to believe, but we are our last minute of the show.
Time flies. We're having fun.
When you're having fun. You know what? Tell the people how they can contact you one last time.
You can contact me directly. I don't know if I'm supposed to do this or not, but I'm going to do it.
It's all about your phone.
I would love to. I'd love to give you my email address. If I can ever be a resource or answer any questions for anybody, you can reach me at nglover, Glover, at tampabaychamber.com. Again, nglover at tampabaychamber.com. Would love to be a resource and love to support. And if there are opportunities for us to partner, whether it's with the chamber or with the Urban League, would welcome that.
That is so special. And, I believe you were like a top under 40 in Hillsborough County person.
I got a lot of calls from people that were shocked that I was not 40. I look 40. The kids will run me ragged. But yeah, it's a great honor.
You got an award? Was that an award?
It was an award. So I've gotten, was very honored to get the Tampa Bay Business Journal under 40, and then the 10 under 40 from Tampa Magazine.
Wow, he's a mover and a shaker. I know you got to be impressed with Nicholas Glover. Thank you so much for coming.
Angela, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, share it. Don't let Tampa Bay politics be a secret. Talk to you soon.